All right, good morning, everybody. What's going on? Yeah, still talking about the fight between Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul. Yep, guilty. Because I'm still hearing other people talk about this fight and this whole narrative about, oh, well, Floyd couldn't knock him out because of the hold in. People are complaining. There's still so many apologists out there for Floyd Mayweather, and they just can't accept the fact that regardless of how you think this fight went, obviously there's no real winner because it was an exhibition. But regardless of any of that, people just can't accept the fact that Floyd did not look good in this fight. They can't. Well, then the counter argument to that was well, neither did Logan Paul. Well, Logan Paul isn't supposed to look good, right? The onus is on Floyd Mayweather. Logan Paul is not arguably the best fighter of our era. He's a novice, and he fought like a novice, as was expected. He even fought better than what I expected because he went the distance. And I did not think he was going to go the distance. I thought Floyd was going to knock him out. Well, why did you think Floyd was going to knock him out? He's not a big puncher. Because I thought that the accumulation of punches that Floyd would land on his body would break him down and he would stop him due to an accumulation. And I thought the bigger man would fade down the stretch. I thought he would get tired. I thought the body shots would take the wind out of him. I thought he would get hurt so badly because he'd be getting hit so regularly that he would break down. And that's why I predicted that Floyd would knock him out in 7 rounds, which he did not. And I'm going to make an unbiased, honest statement. I'm not trolling right now. I do think that Logan Paul legitimately won the first 2 rounds, and I think he legitimately won the 8th round. So best case scenario for Floyd is he won the fight 5 rounds to 3, in my opinion. You can even make an argument that Paul may have won round 7, right? Or even 6, whatever. But I think without question he won rounds 1, 2, and 8. Right? If you want to be objective about it. He won rounds 1, 2, and 8. He's not supposed to win rounds against the best fighter of our era, right? Even at 44 years old. The odds, again, I'm going to repeat what I said yesterday. The odds told us that there was a 96% probability that Floyd was going to knock him out. Not a 96, excuse me, a 91% probability that Floyd Mayweather was going to knock him out, according to the odds. And there was a 9% chance that Logan Paul would go the distance in this fight. That's what the odds suggested. And just about everyone I talked to, with the exception of my friend, thought that Floyd was going to knock out Logan Paul. I know everyone wants to Monday morning quarterback it now. Oh, well, Floyd's small. He's not a big puncher. Again, if you hit a guy enough times in the right spots, right? Anyone's going to get broken down and become incapacitated at some point. Well, if Paulie Malignaggi was to fight me, right? Because the skill level is so different, obviously he's much younger than me too. If he was to fight me at some point, because of the amount of punches he'd be landing on me cleanly, right, and regularly, he would knock me out in a boxing match, in my opinion. I think, even with his reputation of not being a huge puncher, Paulie Malignaggi would knock me out in a boxing match if it was 8 rounds, and each round was 3 rounds. I weigh about 205 right now. Paulie Malignaggi, I would speculate, weighs about 160, 165. Right? But the skill level is so great that just because I'm bigger than Paulie Malignaggi, and I have an amateur boxing background. I was a novice. I didn't fight open class. I had a very, very low profile amateur background. I wasn't anything to write home about. But that's the thing. You know, that's the thing. So Paulie Malignaggi, even though I outweigh him by about 40 pounds, 45 pounds, he would knock me out. Doesn't matter how big I am. I could only hold him so much and freeze the action so much that, you know, he would get his shots in. If Floyd was getting his shots in, right? He was getting his shots in. He was trying to knock Logan Paul out. The rules were set up where the only way you could win was by knockout, and Floyd made the rules. So Floyd even knew himself that a decision was not going to be acceptable here, because he, in an exhibition where there are no rules, there's really no winner, he specifically added in that provision that knockouts are allowed. So the only way could have won this fight was by knockout. And that was designed by Floyd Mayweather. So you knew he wanted the knockout. Shout out to Jesse Perez, because I didn't know this. He said that Floyd even said on Instagram, which is deleted now, the post, he said, bet the farm on me winning this fight by knockout. And even after the press conference, Floyd wasn't talking about this like it was an exhibition. He was making excuses about it like it was a real fight. The guy was too big. I'm not 21 anymore. All the guy did was hold, blah, 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 blah. Why even have to explain yourself? Just say, hey, you know what? It was an exhibition. No one really won and no one really lost. That's all he had to say. But he's defended himself, and he did look embarrassed. He did look frustrated. He did look dejected. He did look upset at the end of the fight, right? And typical Floyd has to throw shade. It was a victory for him. All he wanted to do was go the distance. Again, he said that. He even said that before the fight, Logan Paul. If I go the distance, I win. Everybody said that. Everybody said that. So Logan Paul wins the event regardless. I don't give a, if you want to be objective about it, Logan Paul wins the event. And then the punch stats told you that Logan Paul threw 100 more punches than Floyd Mayweather did. So if all he did was hold, then how did he throw 100 more punches than you? He threw double the punches you threw. And you only and again, you landed 15 more punches than he did, right? Which is a little bit under 2 punches around more than him. So what did you do that was so great? If all he did was hold, what did you do that was so great? In the middle rounds, we could see you you were throwing lead hooks, and you were trying to hurt this guy. There's no question about it. You were going to the body in the clinches. Fact of the matter was, yes, Jesse, I told the people the same thing you just said. Yeah, he posted on his IG to bet the farm on the KO. Fact of the matter is, everybody knows Floyd tried to knock this kid out. Obviously, I think he started the fight off slow, which he always does. He may have really been reserved the first 2 rounds, and that's why Logan Paul won the first 2 rounds, because Mayweather was very reserved, right? Which he normally is in the beginning of a fight. But from rounds 3, 4, and 5 on, you could see he was trying to really knock this kid out. And then you could start to see the fatigue set in rounds 6, 7, and 8, because, again, Logan Paul did hold him and put his weight on him. But let's look at some of Floyd's other fights. The De La Hoya fight, Floyd did an awful lot of holding, right? Because he was in there with a bigger guy. He was only throwing 1 punch at a time, and he was clinching an excessive amount in that fight. But no one wants to talk about that, that was another one of Floyd's uninspiring performances. But what was Floyd's reasoning for that? I mean, and in fair play, I scored the fight 8 rounds to 4 for Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather clearly won the fight. Don't get me wrong. But it wasn't a barn burner, okay? It wasn't a very exciting fight. And that was because Floyd was throwing 1 punch at a time, right? And he was holding himself. Oh, well, De La Hoya weighed 168 pounds the night of the fight. I probably weighed 148. Meanwhile, he gets on the scale and weighs 150 the day before. But these Floyd fanboys and all his apologists and supporters, oh, Floyd actually weighs less the night of the fight. Again, it goes against logic. Because the night of the fight, you have 3 meals in you. You're drinking a lot of fluids to rehydrate yourself, okay? There's no way you're going to be lighter. Now, you may not be a lot heavier the night of the fight than you were during the weigh-in. I can buy that, but you're not going to be lighter. You weren't smaller than Manny Pacquiao the night of the night of the fight. You just weren't. So stop with the bullshit. Okay? Stop with the bullshit. But there's always an excuse. Oh, well, we had to use the bigger gloves because De La Hoya made us use the bigger gloves. Again, there's always 10-ounce gloves from 154 and up. It wasn't like they made a special provision for that fight. Oh, well, Floyd, well, I had to make concessions to De La Hoya. Everything had to be his way. He chose the gloves, chose the ring size, chose everything. You know, and he was 168 pounds. I was only 147, 148 pounds the night of the fight. He was much bigger than me. Blah, 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 blah. But it was okay for him to do a lot of holding in that fight. It was okay for him to do a lot of holding in the Carlos Baldomir fight, which was another uninspiring performance, right? Did a lot of holding in the Maidana fights. And then when he couldn't get Robert Guerrero out of there, oh, well, I hurt my hand. There's always an excuse for Floyd when there's an uninspiring performance or a less than stellar, exciting performance, right? It's always the other guy's fault. Oh, well, Manny Pacquiao's the aggressive guy. It's his fault that the fight wasn't eventful. Okay, but what did you do to make the fight? You were, again, this was a guy, once he moved up to 147, as great as he is, no one's going to ever take anything away from this guy. I'm not going to. Accomplishment-wise, I think he's the greatest fighter of our era. I think you can make a strong argument for that. Yes, greatest fighter of our era. I'm not gonna argue against that. But the fact of the matter is, this was a guy who made a living from 147 and above, throwing one punch at a time. The only memorable fight at 147 where he did throw more than one punch at a time was against Ricky Hatton, who was a much smaller guy than him, right? So this is the hypocrisy of a guy who made a living of throwing one punch at a time, a guy who made a living off of excessive holding in many of his fights. All of a sudden, when it's done to him, right? All of a sudden, it's not cool. What the fuck did you expect the bigger guy to do? Of course he was going to use his size. You knew going in he was bigger. You knew going in he had a wrestling background, right? You knew going in that he wasn't going to try and outbox you. He was going to make the fight ugly. You knew all about all these things, and everybody else knew all about these things. You yourself diminished the event by calling it illegal bank robbery, okay? You were telling people if they bought this fight, they were stupid, right? And once again, most people like me bought it. I got my money back, and I'm going to keep saying I got my money back because I'm proud that I got my money back. Yes, I am. Damn right I am, right? Got my money back, but I bought the event for the sheer ridiculousness of it. He was clearly embarrassed at the end of the fight, and the way he conducted himself after the fight and during the post-fight press conference clearly said that. And then everyone's going to be like, oh, well, he made 50 million. He made 100 million. No, he didn't make 50 million. No, he didn't make 100 million. Let's do the math. And again, I'm going to count pockets because that's what I do. All right. I like business. I'm interested in business. Let's discuss the business of this fight. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Yeah, I'm counting his pockets. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I am. He got a $10 million guarantee, right? They did $50 million supposedly in revenue because they did 1 million pay-per-view buys. But again, with all the refunds, who knows if that 50 million, we're going to give them the benefit of that. We're going to give them $50 million in revenue. You divide that by two because the cable distributors are going to get half that. So there's 25 million left. Okay? There's 25 million left. He got 50% of that, right? So that's $12.5 million plus his $10 million guarantee. And we're not going to, and we know he says he got $30 million in sponsors. I'm going to say I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say, because he gets 1 million a patch. I did the research. He got 1 million a patch for the Pacquiao fight. There's no way he's going to get 30 million for all those patches. He had 4 patches on his trunks, he said. So we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. We're going to add in the $4 million. Okay. So he made about $26,500,000 off of everything for that fight, which is a great number. but it's not $50 million. It's not $100 million. So why embellish the numbers like that? Why isn't it good enough that you made $26,500,000 for the fight when you include the sponsorships and everything, right? And that's a generous figure, because who knows how much revenue actually is in the pot, because a lot of those people got refunds. I got a refund, Jesse Reekin got a refund, and many others got refunds. I hope you don't mind me capping, Jesse. If you're mad, let me know, but I'm just, I don't think you care. So, yeah, a lot of people got the refunds. So once again, and then people are like, "Whoa, well, it doesn't matter how we look. Look at the amount of money he made." Again, this guy's worth supposedly $500 million, and I'm going to keep saying this over and over again. Did he really need to do this to make money? There's so many other things this guy could do to make money. That's it. So many other things he could do to make money. You don't see other athletes doing stuff like this. You don't see Michael Jordan walking into a sporting goods store, challenging the manager of the sporting goods store. Hey, let's go out back and play a game of one-on-one, and we'll put it on pay-per-view. Like, you don't see shit like this by other people. This was the greatest fighter of our era, fighting a novice who had 4 rounds of boxing experience. Okay? This was a circus act, and it's fine. It's fine. But don't try to legitimize it by making excuses for your performance at the end. The way he was talking about it in the end was as if it was a real fight. It was an exhibition. It was an exhibition. It was a legalized bank robbery, which was, according to you, a sham. Basically told everybody if they bought the fight, they were idiots. And people didn't buy the fight to cheer for you, in my opinion. I think the majority of the fans who bought this fight were Logan Paul fans, because as I said before, these guys really don't watch boxing, so they're not really savvy enough to find an illegal stream. They don't have friends who really watch boxing. So usually people like us who watch boxing on a regular basis, we talk to each other, hey, you got to stream, you got to stream. These guys don't talk to other boxing fans, I would suspect. This is my opinion. So they don't have the ability or the access or the savvy, or I should say are savvy enough to find streams. So I think they actually bought the fight. I think they carried the pay-per-view. And I think the majority of boxing fans, or even Floyd fans, I think they streamed the event. Right? So Floyd can say whatever he wants about how relevant he is. But again, it's got a lot of people who don't like him. And the reason why they don't like him is because you're calling fans idiots. You're calling your fans stupid. You're calling your fans idiots. You're telling them that, hey, what I'm presenting to you right now is a sham. I'm bamboozling you guys. If you buy this event, you're all idiots. So then if people at the end of it say, hey, they're giving their honest opinion about it, right? The fight wasn't entertaining. Floyd looked bad, right? Floyd didn't look good. Oh, well, he's 44 years old. Yeah, but he looked even worse than we thought he would look, most of us. We never expected to see the 21-year-old, 22-year-old version of Floyd. But we didn't expect to see this version either. We didn't expect to see this version either. Okay? And we didn't expect to hear someone at the end of the exhibition. Did you hear Roy Jones and Mike Tyson making excuses for their performance at the end of their fight? All they did was praise each other, praise the fans, talk about how fun it was. You didn't see these guys bitter or upset or complaining about anything at the end of their exhibition, did you? Did you? You didn't hear that, right? When Floyd did knock out the Asian, what was the guy's name there? Tension. When he knocked him out, he didn't cry about anything. He was happy because he got the knockout, right? He didn't complain about the McGregor fight when he got the knockout. He was pissed off he couldn't knock this guy out, and that's why he started complaining. That's why he started making excuses at the end of the fight. That's why he was embarrassed. It's facts. So whether you think he won or I think he won, I don't think he thinks he won. I don't think he can honestly look himself in the mirror and say, you know what, regardless of how much money I made, I didn't look good coming out of this. This was an L for me. I honestly believe that's what he's thinking in his mind, because his reaction to it all really, really suggests that to me. Let's be real about it. He was embarrassed at the end of this fight. He was fucking embarrassed at the end of this fight, and I was embarrassed for him. I was embarrassed for him. Fucking lost the fight, bro. I think he legitimately, without trolling, I think he legitimately lost 3 rounds. Right? That's a loss. If I play Michael Jordan one-on-one, game of 11, he beats me friggin' 11-8. That's a loss for Michael Jordan. I'm not supposed to score against Michael Jordan. He's supposed to fucking blow me out. He's supposed to blow me out. I don't give a fuck how big this kid is. Right? I don't give a fuck how big this kid is. He's not supposed to go 8 fucking rounds with Floyd Mayweather Jr., even at 44. It's not. He's not. He wasn't supposed to. He just wasn't supposed to. Anyone that fucking disagrees with the kid held, he was bigger. We knew all this going in. The kid told you he was going to use his size. The kid told you he was going to make the fight ugly. The kid told you he knew he's not going to be able to outbox Mayweather. He had to make it ugly and use his size. What do you think? He's going to be big for nothing? He had to fucking do what he did. Anyone in his position had to fight that way. They have to. Don't be mad at this kid. Don't be mad at this kid. This kid's stock rose immensely. Floyd Mayweather is being criticized right now. More people are criticizing Floyd Mayweather. There's not one person that watched this fight that is saying, wow, look how good Floyd looked. There's not one person saying that. There's not one person saying that. And I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't give a fuck how much money you're getting paid. Nobody likes to be laughed at. Nobody likes to be told, hey, man, it was embarrassing what you did. Nobody likes to be laughed at. Nobody likes to be embarrassed. There's no amount of money that is going to make someone feel good about being embarrassed or being laughed at. It's just, and again, his reaction and his statements at the end of the fight support what I'm saying. That's the evidence that's basically supports what I'm saying right now. He was embarrassed. You could look on his face. He had an embarrassed look on his face at the end of that fight. He was disgusted, not only with the event, he was disgusted with himself. He couldn't believe he couldn't knock this kid out because he fucking tried to. He fucking tried to. And I'm not going to accept any other fucking reasoning other than the fact that he did want to knock this kid out. No one's going to convince me otherwise. No one. That's the fucking reality of it all. He wanted to knock this fucking kid out without question, and he couldn't do it. This kid won. This kid won the fucking event. This kid won the event. Oh, what do you expect? Then Teddy Atlas is trying to come on here. Oh, well, Floyd's never been on one punch. No, again, stop. Stop making fucking excuses for this guy. Stop it. The sheer fact that people are making excuses for this guy makes him look even worse. Makes him look even worse. It's okay when he did all the holding during his career, when he wanted to hold, right? But then when the tables are turned and it gets done to him, all of a sudden this is wrong. He shouldn't have been doing this. Come on, man. Let's just be real about it, bro. Let's be real about it. Let's address the fucking double standards and the hypocrisy. So you can hold, you could throw one punch at a time and hold. Because at 147 and above, you did it as great as you are. We're going to be objective here. We're not going to take away from Floyd Mayweather's accomplishments. We're not going to take away from his career. It's up to the person watching Floyd Mayweather if they want to determine whether or not they feel he's entertaining or not. And then, if you say that you don't think he's entertaining, or if you criticize him in any way, you know what the response to that is? This is the cop out, all of it. As soon as you give your opinion on something, and it's not what people want to hear, right? Automatically you're a hater and you're jealous, right? That's the automatic cop-out response. Explain to me the counter argument I'm expecting for you Floyd fans and you apologists is, explain to me how he didn't look bad in this fight. Oh, well, what did you expect? He was 44 years old. I expected a lot more than what I got. I did not expect this kid to go 8 rounds. I did not expect this kid to land only 15 less punches than Floyd Mayweather did. I didn't expect this kid to outthrow Floyd Mayweather, and I didn't expect this kid to land almost as many punches as Floyd Mayweather. No, I'm going to be honest. Oh, he was big. Well, again, size isn't everything in the sport of boxing. We've seen many smaller men knock out bigger guys, right? We've seen it. And the skill level was so great here that the size was kind of canceled out, in my opinion. That's what the general consensus was going in, right? We all thought that Floyd was just such an accurate puncher, such a much more skilled guy than this gentleman, Logan Paul, that the size was irrelevant, right? That's what we thought. That's what most of us thought going in. The majority of us, I would say 99.9% of us, expected Floyd to knock this guy out. The probability of a knockout, according to the Vegas odds, was 91%. There was a 91% probability, according to the boxing public, that Floyd was going to win this fight by knockout. So to expect anything less than that just doesn't make sense if you're going to look at this fight objectively, right? So if you pick Floyd to win by knockout, and then also if you uttered the words, if Logan Paul goes the distance, it's a win for him, then you can't go back and complain about what happened the night of the fight. You can't say that, oh, well, it wasn't Mayweather's fault he looked bad. It was the other kid's fault because all he did was hold. Bull fucking shit. Oh, all the guy did was run. All the guy did was hold. Whenever fighters say statements like that, you know what they're saying about, you know what they're telling you? They're basically telling you, he was moving, I couldn't catch up to him, I couldn't cut off the ring. Oh, all he was doing was holding. Oh, the guy grabbed me. He grappled me and mauled me on the inside. I wasn't strong enough to break free of the clinches and punch out of the clinches. I wasn't strong enough to deal with the guy's physical strength on the inside. But that's what they're basically saying, not in so many words. Obviously, Floyd was not big enough or strong enough to deal with this kid on the inside. He could not fight his way out of the clinches. Right? Look how many times Mike Tyson was held in fights, but he would always fight his way out of the clinches for the most part. On the rare occasions, you know, when he did run into a James Quick Tillis or a Bone Crusher Smith, obviously he had trouble in those fights dealing with the clinches, right? But for the most part, guys always tried to hold Mike Tyson, but because he was so strong, because he was so elusive, because he knew how to position his body and bob and weave and get up and break free of those clinches and slip up underneath out of those clinches and rip body shots, for the most part, it was hard to contain Mike Tyson on the inside. He would always be able to fight his way out of clinches for the most part. And that's what you would expect a guy as skilled as Floyd Mayweather to do in this fight. And he couldn't do it. He was complaining, he was getting frustrated, and he was asking the referee for help on several occasions. He even tried to stick his elbow in his forearm, which he always does in a lot of fights, which is illegal. You can't forearm people, but no one's going to talk about that. All everyone's going to do is try, or not everyone, but all the Floyd apologists are going to do is try to make excuses for this guy. And then when you criticize his performance, well, at least he made $50 million or $100 million, which was totally incorrect because I did the math. He made roughly $26 million if you count the endorsement patches. Made $26 million. Logan Paul is going to end up making about $3.5, $4 million when it's all said and done. When you add in his pay-per-view cut and you add in his endorsements. Okay? So Floyd held a lot in his career. He did a lot of questionable things with the forearms and the elbows and people's necks. So don't sit there and say that it's okay when Floyd does it, but then when someone does it back to him, it's not acceptable. Many times in Floyd's career, he would throw one punch at a time and hold. Throw one punch at a time and stick his forearm in people's necks. And then when the Manny Pacquiao fight was uneventful, it was Manny Pacquiao's fault. Well, he's the guy who's supposed to be exciting. He's the guy who's supposed to take the fight to me. That's a fair argument. I'm not gonna discredit that argument. But when you saw that it wasn't happening, the onus becomes on you to make the fight too. So don't sit there and give Manny Pacquiao 100% of the blame there, because you're the other half of the fight. So you didn't really do anything yourself to make the fight eventful either. And that's fine. I really don't have criticism for you, but don't sit there and criticize other people for doing what you did for a great portion of your career. And you're the professional. You're the professional. In a lot of your big fights, people looked at them as being very underwhelming. People looked at the majority of your fights, people, especially the big ones, people walk away saying, this wasn't a great fight. This wasn't a memorable fight. This wasn't an eventful fight. This wasn't an entertaining fight. And every time someone says that, you always blame the other guy. But you're the other half of the event. So how much responsibility do you have for the fight and how it plays out and how exciting it is and how entertaining it is? You're the other half. You're 50% responsible for entertaining the fans. Now, you're obviously your first responsibility is to win the fight, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. But again, you can't get so defensive. You can if you want, but you shouldn't get so defensive at the end of every fight that someone criticizes your performance. Because your immediate response is always to blame the other guy for the fight not being eventful, for the other guy for the fight not being entertaining. It's always the other guy's fault because the fans didn't feel as though they got what they deserved, right? And once again, what happened here? It's Logan Paul's fault. It's not my fault. Meanwhile, this is a guy who told you he didn't train for the fight. Once again, throwing salt in the wound. Once again, spitting in the fan's face. Oh, I train maybe 2 or 3 days a week. This guy was training for 3 months straight. Me, I was down Aruba partying, blah, blah, blah. I was enjoying time with vacationing, getting the sun, going shopping, chilling. I didn't even train for this fight. Once again, even though it was an exhibition, right? Still a slap in the face because you went out there and didn't even try to be the best version of yourself, even at 44. You told everyone at the end of the fight, at the post-fight press conference, or even during the post-fight interview, that you did not train for this fight. So you can't complain about how the fight went at the end of it when you didn't even prepare yourself to be the best version of yourself just so you could put on a good show for the fans. You didn't even try to be remotely close to the best version of yourself if you're telling everyone you only train 2 or 3 days a week and you only trained a couple of weeks for the fight. Right? And then you're going to make fun of the kid for taking the fight serious? Like you're going to make it look like it's a negative that he trained and you didn't? Once again, another excuse. Oh, well, he trained for the event. I really didn't. It's always the other guy with this guy. This is supposed to be the greatest boxer of our era. And the mere fact that people are still making excuses for him, I'm still hearing people making videos, Akin Barak making excuses for this guy, right? It's June 11th. This fight happened 5 days ago, right? 5 or 6 days ago, and people are still making excuses for this guy. And I find it laughable. Just really think about what's going on here, guys. Really think about what's going on here. Does it make sense that the greatest fighter of our era has to make excuses and people have to make excuses for him because he didn't look good against a mere novice with 4 rounds of experience? That doesn't look bad. Does that make sense to you at all? Seriously. That's not a joke to hear people say what they're saying about this event, trying to defend Floyd Mayweather for the way he looked. Look, million pay-per-view buys. I'm impressed. I really am. I'm impressed. Given the current environment in the sport of boxing, where everyone pirates these events and everyone's watching these events with legal streams. Again, another apologist. Why are you still talking about this fight? Does it hurt his legacy? He didn't look great, no excuses. Okay, he didn't look great, no excuses. I'm still talking about this fight because Floyd Mayweather is a very popular person, and the discussion is still going on about this fight. So I'll probably talk about this, maybe the last video, but may not be. Again, this is my channel. No one's going to censor me or tell me what to talk about. If you don't like what I'm talking about, there's an X in the right-hand corner. I tell everybody that. Don't ever come on here and tell me what the fuck I can talk about. If I want to make a video every day about this fight, if I feel like I want to do that, then I'm going to fucking do it. It's that simple. It's that simple. I'm going to talk about whatever I want to fucking talk about. And I explain why I'm still talking about this fight, because there are still apologists out there crying and complaining on June 11th, 2021. 5 days ago, this fight happened, and people are still crying about it. That's why I'm talking about it, because I fucking feel like it. And I'm going to continue to respond to these idiots. You know why? Because I'm having fun. I'm legitimately having fun trolling these fucking idiots. Okay? If Floyd can go out there and tell people he's robbing the bank, then why can't Joe Habib troll people? It's okay for Floyd to go out there and perform legalized bank robberies and tell people that anyone who's watching this event, they're a fucking idiot. He can do that, and no one has a problem with it. They'll defend him because he's Floyd Mayweather. Thank you, D-Style. Appreciate that. They'll defend him because he's Floyd Mayweather. But little old Joe Habib, a nobody, right? He can't even make a YouTube video because it hurts people's feelings. Get the fuck out of here. You're going to cry about me talking about your hero because you don't fucking like what I'm saying. It bothers you. Tyson Fury is currently my favorite fighter in the sport of boxing right now. I like Tyson Fury. People make videos talking shit about him every day. Do I come out and cry about people talking shit about Tyson Fury? No, if you don't like Tyson Fury, you don't have to like Tyson Fury. He doesn't need me to come out and defend him. He's a fucking millionaire. He's a fucking millionaire. Does he need Joe Habib to come to his aid to defend his honor? I don't ride a fucking another man's dick. Right? You don't see me. I love Sugar Ray Leonard. He's my favorite fighter of all time. People talk shit about him all the time. Oh, he ducked Aaron Pryor. He's this, he's that. Blah, blah. Again, you don't have to like the guy. I don't need you to like the guy to make me like the guy. I don't need other people to like the same people I like. Right? I don't need people to agree with me all the time. I don't need it. But once again, if you show me hypocrisy or fanboyism, or if you make an inaccurate statement about me or anything, then you will be called out on it. Now, does that mean anything to you? Probably not. But I'm still going to fucking say what I want to say. Right? I'm still going to say what I want to say. I'm not going to change my mind unless evidence is provided to me to prove to me that I'm wrong about something. If you can't prove me wrong with logic or empirical data, if I make a false statement on here and you provide evidence to me that I misspoke in any way, I will correct myself. But I'm not gonna go back and forth with butthurt fanboys just because you're upset because your hero didn't look the way you want him to look. So now what you have to do is you have to try and say face to him, because you can't not accept the fact that he did not look good, and you can't accept the fact that he embarrassed himself. So your response is this: well, at least he got paid. Okay. So if he allowed himself to get paid and in the process he embarrassed himself and he doesn't care about that, then why the fuck do you care about it? If he told you that the event was a sham and it was a legalized bank robbery and that you were a stupid idiot for buying the fight, so if we come out there and basically say the same thing about the event, that it was a sham because he said it was a sham, so why is it okay for him to tell you the event sucks, but if someone else tells you the event sucks, you're mad at that person? It doesn't make sense, guys. It doesn't make sense. That would be like going into a car dealership, right? And looking at a car that's worth $5,000, and the guy's telling you, man, you know what? This is actually a shit box. I know you really need a car, right? This car's worth about $5,000, but I'm going to sell it to you for $10,000. And if you buy it, you're an idiot. And basically, this would be a legal bank robbery if you purchased this car from me, because I'd actually be swindling you right now, right? If someone said that to you, right, what would you think of that person? In what world can someone who's selling you something talk to you like that and you look at them in a positive way? Another apologist. Another apologist. It hurts. It hurts. Changing, moving the goalpost once again. Moving the goalpost once again. What did we say? What did we say at the beginning during this video earlier? We said we weren't expecting a prime Floyd Mayweather, but what we were expecting was something much better than what we got on Sunday. That's all we're saying. But it hurts you. Dante's S. We already know what this kid, what side of the fence this kid's on. This is another form of tribalism. Right? It's another form of tribalism. Right? Can't accept the fact that Floyd was embarrassed himself and looked bad. Why do you have to say that, Pete? Just giving my opinion on what I saw. Am I supposed to lie? Am I supposed to lie? Did Floyd look good on Sunday? Yes or no? Did he not look embarrassed at the end of the fight? Yes or no? Okay, so you don't think it was as bad as I made it seem. So that Floyd so that wasn't, you're going to sit there and honestly tell me that the best boxer of our era did not look really bad against Logan Paul? You're not going to admit that? Why do you have to make it look better than what it was? You're making it look, you're trying to make it look better than what it was. You're saying that I'm making it look as bad as, it's not as bad as I'm making it look. Well, then give me some positives about it, Dante S. Come on. You know what I'm going to do, Dante S? I'm gonna drop you a link. I'm gonna give you the better. I'm gonna give you an opportunity to explain to me why I'm being overly critical and harsh in my criticism or my assessment of this event. You can jump on and we'll talk about it. Explain to me what I got wrong here. Explain to me what I got wrong here. Anyone can jump on here and just tell me what I'm wrong about. I'll listen to you. Explain to me any inaccuracies that I have made in giving my assessment and describing this event. I'm open to hear any counter arguments. I'm open to hear any counter arguments from anybody. And the only thing is, people could say, was Floyd made $50 million or $100 million? First, it was $100 million, then it was $50 million, right? But the actual numbers, somewhere around $25 to $26 million, if you really did the math correctly. Well, why are you counting his pockets? Because he's throwing false numbers out there, and I'm fact-checking him. That's all. Journalists are throwing false numbers out there. I'm fact-checking them. So it is what it is. We already talked about yesterday, everybody counts everybody's pockets, because if you're interested in business and you invest in stock market, you're basically analyzing and making an assessment on the financial performance of a company, right? Oh, so now you don't want to talk? Okay, that's fine. I don't have that much to say. I just think he's 44. It was an exhibition. It wasn't no one said it was legacy shattering. But if it was an exhibition, you have to explain to me, why would someone make excuses about how they looked and complain about the other guy's performance at the end of an exhibition if it didn't mean anything? Explain that to me. Why would he be complaining about all the guy did was hold? Why would he be complaining about the guy didn't come to win, he just came to survive? Oh, the guy was too big. Why would he keep saying, I'm 44 years old, I'm not the same as I was at 21? Why would he be saying all those things if it was just an exhibition? I didn't even say it was legacy shattering. You're the one that brought legacy up to it. So apparently D-Style's 100% correct. It's a projection by you. You may be thinking that his legacy is in question. I never said that. All I said was he looked bad. Right? If I got in the ring right now, I would look horrible. I could admit that, right? I could admit that. Just being real. Just making a realistic statement. We're not allowed that. This is the new world we live in, guys. Every time we have an opinion and we voice it, and it's not what people want it to be, right? It's not what people want it to be, then automatically we're a hater and we're jealous. Listen, there's a lot of rich people, like Jay-Z. He's a billionaire. I don't hear people talk shit about Jay-Z. Michael Jackson, another billionaire. Not many people talk shit about not Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan. He's another billionaire. I don't hear many people talk shit about him. I don't hear many people talk shit about him. Not many people question whether or not he's the greatest basketball player of all time. I mean, there's a few people, but the majority of people agree that he's the best, right? He's a billionaire. No one's jealous of Michael Jordan, right? No one's jealous of Michael Jordan. No one's really jealous of Jay-Z. Jay-Z's on the Mount Rushmore of rappers, right? Not many people question that, right? He's on the Mount Rushmore, right? He's one of them. Definitely top 5, top 10, right? No one hates on Jay-Z. Very few people hate on Jay-Z, right? Of course, everyone's gonna have a few haters, but the majority of people, they say positive things about Jay-Z. Majority of people say positive things about Michael Jordan, right? Majority of people say positive things about Shaq. Majority of people say positive things about Magic Johnson. These are all millionaires. They all got more money than me and more money than the rest of us. So the whole thing about we're just hating Floyd because he's rich, because he got more money than us, that's a bunch of shit. That's a bunch of shit. Majority of people out there, right, don't hate rich people, aren't jealous of rich people. They're really not. Really not. If someone says the things that Floyd Mayweather says, basically tells his fans that they're idiots if they buy his events, right? Always talks shit about other fighters like Muhammad Ali, who's arguably the most famous athlete of all time, most recognizable athlete of all time worldwide. Great man. And the only thing he could talk about is Ali's Parkinson's. That's the focal point. Manny Pacquiao is out there doing something great, challenging himself, but Manny Pacquiao's fighting for the money. He needs the money. Well, why the fuck are you fighting, Floyd? I mean, he's just not he's just a hard guy to like. Let's just be honest about it. He's just not a likable person. The way he carries himself, his personality, always fucking defensive, never can answer a question. Anytime you ask him a remotely tough question, what's he do? He attacks everybody, right? Insults everybody, diminishes everybody, subtracts from others to add to themselves, right? He knew that the fucking Teofimo Lopez, George Kambosos fight was originally scheduled for the same weekend. So what's he do? Tries to put a fight on the same weekend as them because he's a guy that's constantly making dickhead moves and saying dickhead things and acting like an asshole. And lo and behold, newsflash, it's a shock that people aren't going to like him. Oh no, you don't like him. You don't like him because he's rich. Couldn't it be the way he says his fans are idiots if they buy his events? That has nothing to do with it. Couldn't it be the way that he's always saying, "Oh, it's illegal. I'm performing a legalized bank robbery," basically telling you that his event really isn't worth what you're paying, the price you're paying for it. That has nothing to do with it. And then he's constantly criticizing legends in the sport. You know, taking a guy like Muhammad Ali and oh well, guy had the guy lost to a guy with 7 pro fights. He's got 5 losses. Oh, people want to tell me, criticize me, but I'm not a guy laying on the ropes and letting people punch me. Taking all these shots at arguably, I'm not even gonna say arguably, taking all these shots at probably the greatest athlete of all time, or the most recognizable, just the greatest sports figure of all time, right? Greatest sports figure of all time, right? But that's not the reason why people don't like Floyd. It's because he's rich, right? Here's an apologist. The more this person talks, the more he's going to embarrass himself. This is a projection. So you don't like Floyd, that's cool. Why not say that? Why not make it seem like you got... Again, this is what happens, guys, when you stop making points. He's not giving me a counter argument to tell me why Floyd looked good. He's not giving me a counter argument. He's making more excuses and he's becoming more of an apologist for Floyd. Who said Floyd got beat up? Was that ever in the discussion? Was that ever in the discussion that Floyd got beat up in this fight? Was that ever brought up or did anyone ever say that? Explain to me. I'm going to drop a link in here. Come on and explain to me how Floyd did not look embarrassing. Explain to me how he looked good in this fight. That's it. Explain to me. No one can do it. Explain to me how this was a win for Floyd Mayweather. Oh, he made $50 million. He didn't make $50 million. He made $26 million, which is great. I'm not diminishing it, but okay. So for Floyd Mayweather, a guy who's made $500 million in his career, right? His net worth, He made $1 billion in his career. His fights generated $1 billion in revenue. He's worth about a $500 million, right? He's worth $500 million, right? This guy's got sponsorships. He's got investments, whatever. He's got strip clubs. So it was worth him for one night to embarrass himself for $26 million. So that's the reason behind it. So he allowed himself to be embarrassed because he was making $26 million. So that's the excuse. The only awful thing about the fight is Floyd didn't knock him out. He just wasn't strong enough. He got enough clean shots on the other guy. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to try to argue that. Great point here. My question by Timothy Bolden. Shout out to Timothy Bolden. Excellent question here. He says, my question is, why would you think a 44-year-old fighter who hasn't fought in years would look amazing? Just like that. Just dumb. Again, another Floyd apologist. Moving the goalposts once again. This is another deflection. What did we say at the beginning and during this video? We didn't expect him to look amazing. We just didn't expect him to look as bad as he did. You don't have to look. Oh, I'm sorry. I did miss your super chat. Where is it? Where is your super chat? Put the comment back in here. Obviously, you don't have to super chat me again. I must have missed it. Put your comment back in here, and I'll read it, Michael O'Brien. I apologize to you. I'm sorry I missed it. Why would he have to look amazing? See, these guys are hanging themselves. They're basically jumping off a cliff themselves. They're killing themselves with their comments, the apologists. He wouldn't have to look amazing to fight a novice. He wouldn't have to look amazing. He wouldn't have to look amazing to beat a guy with 4 rounds of experience, a guy who's 0-1 as a professional. He wouldn't have to look amazing. I never said he had to look amazing. But he would have to look much better than he did on Sunday in order to not embarrass himself. He wasn't even a shell of his former self. He was less than a speck of his former self. And I'm just being honest. D-Style, thank you so much. He says, you're putting out great content, brother, and you're putting out phenomenal content yourself. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you so much. That's all I'm saying. But I'm hating. I'm not defending. It's about expectations. You believe he actually tried. So now the argument is he didn't try. Now the argument is he didn't try. So if he didn't try to knock the kid out, then why was he becoming very aggressive in rounds 3, 4, and 5? Why did he put the rule in there that you could win by knockout, but you couldn't win by decision? Why did he go on Instagram and say, bet the house or bet the farm that I'm going to knock this kid out? But now, once again, this is what he does. This is what you guys do for him. You're repeating. You're not even giving your own opinion. You're repeating exactly what he's saying. Oh, I didn't train. This was just an exhibition. So why complain about the guy holding you? Why complain about the guy being big? Why complain about the guy not coming to win? You're defending him. Did he or did he not look good? So you honestly believe that he didn't try to knock the kid out. So why was there even a stipulation or a provision in the contract that you could win by knockout? Knockouts were allowed. Why? If he wasn't going to try and knock the kid out, then why even put that in there? Why not just make it a straight exhibition? Why not just make it a straight exhibition? Why even put that in there? Why were there odds for the fight then? Why did he tell people to bet on him to knock Logan Paul out? Doesn't add up, bro. It's not adding up. You're Monday morning quarterbacking and you're regurgitating Floyd Mayweather's talking points because, again, you're an apologist. Just say, Beeb, yeah, you know what? He didn't look good. Yeah, Beeb, it was kind of embarrassing. It's not a good look to see the greatest fight of our era get thrown around and muscled and wrestled with by a novice who has very minimal boxing experience, 4 rounds of boxing experience, guy who's a novice. Why can't you just say that? Again, you're embarrassing yourself by making these statements. Okay, let me go back to my O'Brien here. Okay, I just said that Floyd apologists live off of every word, like parrot, whatever he says before and after the fight, they will echo. That's what they're doing right now. This isn't even this. These aren't even real human beings. These are Floyd Mayweather bots. These are Floyd Mayweather bots right now. These are bots. These are drones right now that Floyd Mayweather sent to the Beating the Odds with Beeb or the Ringside Reporter live channel. These aren't even real people. These are bots. These are Floyd Mayweather bots. They're regurgitating word for word what he's saying. He was definitely trying. Have you seen Floyd's corner video where he seemed frustrated that he couldn't jab him? Yeah, he was complaining. He goes, I can't jab him. He's too big. Dude, he fucking tried. Did he train? No. Did he put in the same type of training camp that he put in for friggin' McGregor? No. I don't think he trained. I think he underestimated the kid. I do. I'm not going to deny that. He said the kid was better than I thought he was. Michael O'Brien agreed. They know and he knows it. Also, that's why he was so quiet afterwards, talking about no comeback and possibly no more. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It most certainly was. It most certainly was. But what was your prediction before the fight? Did you think that Mayweather was going to go the distance with this kid? Oh, man. I mean, if you say it, I don't know what you said before the fight. I'm asking you after the fight. I'm hoping you're going to be honest with me. Did anyone think that Mayweather was not going to knock this kid out in the chat? Be honest with me, please. And I'm not going to criticize you. If you believe that this fight was going to go the distance, then I'll take your word for it. I'm not even going to argue with you. I swear to God. Did anyone believe that this fight was going to go the difference? Tell me yes or no in the chat, please. And it most certainly was a junior middleweight versus a cruiserweight. That's without question. I agree with that 100%. That's a factual statement. I'm not going to argue with that. But even okay. So you did. That's a no that you thought the fight was going to go the distance. You didn't think he would knock him out. The dude is a giant compared to Floyd. Did you think he would? Okay. Go. All right. I'll accept that. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. 3 people thought it was going to be a stoppage. That's 3-1. Did anyone think this fight was going to go the distance? Yes or no? That's all I'm asking. I'm going to put mine in there. That's no. Mine's a no. My friend told me last week. We went out. Me and my friend went out to eat. We went out to get Indian food last week. And he told me, he goes, I think the fight's going to be more competitive. He told me the fight was going to go the distance. He definitely said that. Fight should have been 12 rounds. Paul wouldn't have been able to hear the final. Oh, well, that's not the question I asked. Did you think that he would even go 8? No disrespect, but now you seem to be sounding like a Floyd Mayweather apologist too. I'm sorry. And we have talked about those fights. And don't start crying. Again, I already told you, you're not going to tell me what I can and cannot talk about. This is my 3rd video today, brother. You're not going to tell me what I can talk about. You don't like it, you don't have to watch it. There's many interviews on this channel. I was on the roundtable with D-Style yesterday. We talked about a lot of fights, and there's not many fights this weekend, to be perfectly honest with you. There's not. There's 2. There's the Ritson fight, and there's the Shakur Stevenson fight. So stop. Okay, that's all. Then fair enough. And you may have an argument about the 12-round thing. but Floyd was actually tired too. All I think what would have happened is we probably would have got much of the same. The UFC card is very good. We have a great UFC card this weekend. Yeah, I didn't think, I thought Floyd was going to, I wasn't expecting the 21, 22-year-old version of Floyd, but I was expecting a better version than what I got. That's all. And the amount of shit that he was talking before the fight, I think that we can criticize his performance if we want to. There's no hate. There's no vitriol here. Just giving my honest assessment of the fight. Exactly. There are such things as referee stoppage by accumulation of punches. Floyd did not need the dramatic KO with Logan laid out. He could have gotten a ref stoppage. Could have gotten a ref step in. He didn't even do that. Logan was gassed from the second round. Okay. Fair enough. That's a legitimate opinion. I don't think that, we can argue if he was or he wasn't, but he was definitely tired. There's no question about it. He was going back to his corner, putting his hands on the top rope, and he was bending over. So he was definitely tired. There's no question about it. Yeah. So. Yeah. So no one really thought that Paul was going to go to distance in this fight. I agree. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Appreciate the comments in the chat. And I may do another one later today. I'm not sure, but thank you so much. And we'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. Peace out. Thank you for watching.